Stop. Before you walk into that building tomorrow, before you send that email, before you volunteer for one more project nobody asked you to take, hear this. Everything you were told about hard work getting noticed and fairness winning out is the version companies need you repeating so the machine keeps running. It is not the full picture. In my time inside recruiting rooms and compensation planning meetings, I watched good employees get quietly passed over while people who understood the unwritten rules moved past them. You are not imagining it. And today, I am giving you all 15 rules. I am Dre, and this channel exists for one reason: to tell you what your company will never put in writing. The things HR knows and management counts on you never figuring out. If you have ever felt like you were doing everything right and still getting passed over, quietly wondering what everyone else seems to know that you do not, this is going to explain why. Let's get into it. Rule number 1. Your loyalty is not an asset you keep. It is currency they spend. Nobody says this out loud in an onboarding session, but the more devoted you are to a company, the less leverage you tend to have inside it. This is not usually malicious. It is structural. Psychologists call it sunk cost thinking. You have put years, relationships, and a piece of your identity into a place, so you stay. And organizations quietly rely on that. In systems I have worked around, the people who land the biggest jumps in pay are usually the ones who left and came back, or left for good. External hires often walk in earning more than an internal promotion would have paid for the same exact role. So treat your loyalty like a limited resource. Give it to specific people who have earned it, not to a logo on a badge. Rule number 2. Being seen usually beats being good. Picture two people doing equally strong work. One sends a short recap after every project. Here is what got done and why it mattered. The other just puts their head down and goes home. In most rooms, the first person gets remembered when promotion season comes around. This is attribution bias, our tendency to credit what we actually witnessed over what we only heard about secondhand. Your manager is not running a spreadsheet of your quiet contributions. They are recalling whatever surfaces first in their mind. Keep doing the work, but stop assuming it speaks for itself. Make it visible on purpose without turning it into a performance. Rule number 3. An open door is often a listening device. You know the manager who insists their door is always open? Pay attention to what actually happens every time someone walks through it. Who talks the most, and who benefits from what gets said? In a lot of corporate environments, an open door functions less like support and more like a soft surveillance system. It invites you to hand over frustrations and plans voluntarily, information that can later be used to manage you rather than help you. Save the venting for someone outside your reporting line entirely, not a peer at your level and not anyone above you. Rule number 4. The warmest person in the room is sometimes the one to watch closest. There is a pattern researchers describe as the agreeableness trap. People who come across as supportive and easygoing while consistently benefiting when others stumble. The colleague worth watching is rarely the loud, difficult one. It is often the one always offering to help while quietly collecting information. Always first to volunteer while making themselves impossible to route around. Stop reading tone and start reading outcomes. When something goes wrong, ask who ends up better positioned afterward. That usually tells you more than any conversation would. Rule number 5. You are a line item until you prove otherwise. This one is uncomfortable, but sit with it anyway. When a company hits a rough quarter, leadership is not reviewing who worked hardest. They are looking at spreadsheets full of roles, redundancies, and cost centers. You remain a number until you become a number that clearly makes or saves money. The employees who tend to survive cuts are the ones whose work is easy to translate into dollars earned, saved, or protected. This is not about panic. It is about language. Start describing your work in terms leadership already understands, because a task well done means very little if nobody can price it. Even in support or creative roles where the connection feels indirect, there is almost always a version of that translation available once you go looking for it. Rule number 6. Your performance review is closer to a legal record than a conversation. Most people walk into that meeting treating it like informal feedback. It is not that. It is a documented account that can shape your raise, your promotion timeline, and if things ever go sideways, how your employment gets characterized later. None of this is legal advice, just a pattern worth knowing. Before every review, send your manager a short written summary of what you accomplished and why it mattered. Anchor the conversation in your own framing first. If you do not write your narrative down, someone else eventually will, and they usually are not as generous with it as you would be. Rule number 7. Saying yes immediately quietly erodes your value. Scarcity creates worth almost everywhere, including at work. When you are always instantly available and never push back, you stop being seen as valuable and start being seen as expected. And expected things do not get appreciated, they get assumed. Behavioral economists call this the baseline effect. Once something becomes normal, it stops registering as remarkable at all. Build a small, deliberate pause into your yes. Not stalling, just enough friction that people feel your time actually has weight before you agree to spend it. Rule number 8. The conference room is a stage before it is a briefing. Meetings are rarely just about sharing information. They are about signaling status, building quiet alliances, and controlling whose version of events sticks. Next time you are sitting in one, notice who gets interrupted freely and who does not, and whether credit for an idea goes to whoever said it first or whoever repeated it loudest. There is a well-documented effect where identical ideas land completely differently depending on who delivers them, shaped by seniority, tenure, and plenty of bias that never gets named out loud. Knowing that, speak early. Establish your presence in the first few minutes, and everything you say afterward carries more weight. Rule number 9. A mentor gives you advice, a sponsor gives you access, and only one of those actually moves your career. A mentor tells you what to do differently. A sponsor puts your name into rooms you are not even in yet. Research on workplace advancement consistently suggests certain groups get plenty of mentoring and comparatively little sponsorship. Lots of guidance, far fewer actual doors opened. Do not stop at finding someone willing to give you feedback. Look for someone with real influence who sees your potential and is willing to spend some of their own credibility putting your name forward. The mentor relationship feels good because it is comfortable and low stakes. The sponsor relationship is the one that actually bends your career, and it almost always requires you to ask for it directly instead of quietly waiting to be noticed. Rule number 10. The first person to complain often becomes the one remembered for it. It is unfair, and you might be completely right to be upset. But walking into HR without a strategy tends to have a predictable outcome. Now your name is attached to a complaint. Your concerns are on file, and somehow you become the difficult one. Organizations tend to protect their own equilibrium first and the underlying problem second. This is sometimes described as an organizational immune response. Again, none of this replaces real legal advice. It is simply what tends to happen. So before you report anything, document everything quietly. Dates, specifics, anyone who witnessed it, and weigh what you stand to gain against what you stand to lose before you act. Rule number 11. Your manager's success is one of the most useful currencies you have. Most people think impressing senior leadership is the whole game, but your more immediate job is making your direct manager look good to the people above them. Social psychologists call this reflected glory. When your manager succeeds, they tend to credit the people closest to them, which means they end up advocating for you, protecting your role, and recommending you when it counts. Find out exactly what your manager is being measured on, then quietly align your work to their numbers, not only your own. Rule number 12. Culture fit is frequently a polite way of saying something else entirely. "She's talented, but I am not sure she is a culture fit," is a sentence you have probably heard in some form. What it often actually means is, "She does not remind us of ourselves." Culture fit is one of the more overused and misused phrases in hiring and promotion decisions, frequently just affinity bias wearing a professional outfit. People tend to advance people who feel familiar to them. So the move is not becoming someone else. It is identifying the specific group inside your organization that already shares your values and deliberately building your reputation alongside them. Rule number 13. There is no such thing as job security, only employability. The idea of a safe job is mostly a story told by people who benefit from you staying put and staying quiet. What actually exists is your market value outside your current employer, your skills, your network, and your track record of results. The smartest move inside any job is building things that outlast that job: a portfolio, a reputation, relationships that would still answer your call if you left tomorrow. That could be a visible body of work, a name people recognize inside your specific niche, or simply a handful of people who would vouch for you without hesitation. Never let your sense of worth get so tied to one employer that leaving starts to feel impossible. Rule number 14. Constant overwork often reads as desperation rather than dedication. There is a specific kind of employee companies claim to love while quietly discounting internally. The one who is always online, always available, always the first to say yes to more. Why the discount? Because nonstop availability without boundaries can signal you have no other options and nothing pulling you elsewhere, not commitment. Boundaries are not laziness. They are a signal that you have value and choices. Work hard, but let people occasionally wonder what you are doing with the time you are not spending online. Rule number 15. The exit interview is not really for you, but you can still use it well. When you put in notice, someone will schedule that final conversation and frame it as a chance to improve the company. In practice, that feedback often gets softened, filed away, and rarely acted on in any way you would notice. What it can still do is shape how your departure gets remembered internally. So stay professional, stay brief, and stay strategic. Leave in a way that keeps the door open, as a future reference, a future client, or someone who could credibly walk back through that door one day. Your industry is smaller than it feels, and bridges are worth more standing than burned. So here is all 15, fast. Loyalty is currency. Spend it carefully. Visibility matters as much as the work itself. That open door is not automatically safe. The friendliest person in the room deserves a second look. You are a line item until you translate into dollars. Your review is closer to a legal record than a chat. Saying yes too fast quietly costs you. Meetings are political theater. Show up like you know it. Find a sponsor, not just a mentor. Document quietly before you ever report anything. Make your manager's numbers your numbers too. Culture fit can just be bias in a nicer outfit. Build employability because job security was never really real. Overworking can read as desperation, not dedication. And that exit interview? Play it clean. Here is the part I actually want you to sit with. None of this is a reason to become cynical, and none of it is permission to play dirty. Understanding how this system actually works is not the same as losing your integrity over it. You can still be kind. You can still care about the people you work with. You can still do genuinely good work. You just stop being naive about the environment you are doing it inside. You can handle all of this, not because you have no other choice, but because now you actually understand how it works. And understanding the rules of a system is always better than getting quietly outplayed by them. If any of these 15 hit a little too close, send it to someone who needs to hear it before their next review. Subscribe if this is your first time here, and drop a comment telling me which rule caught you off guard the most. Next time, we are going deeper into how to actually negotiate the number they offer you before you ever say yes to it. I will see you in the next one.